All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to say, Call Halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashir Murkah HaKodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us this truth and rule well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashir Murkah HaKodash Barakatham. It's the brother Kazak coming back at it again with another lesson. All right, and this, just watching the times, giving an update, once again with the situation with between, the so-called Chinese and Taiwan. Saying I say the so-called Chinese because the true biblical nationality is the nation of Moab. All right, that's the true, biblical nationality. Before that covering cast was put in the whole earth. To have, the wicked hide from their judgment. Basically, ultimately to sow the world, with further confusion. You know what I'm saying, and discredit the scriptures and things of that nature. But anyways, we keeping tabs on the situation, and hey, through the spirit, man, it is coming to pass. I said, I speak as a man. Maybe they will, invade, but nah, they really are, about to invade Japan. All right, so this article came out. You know what I'm saying? Going into that. All right, and we're also gonna touch into why they're invading not Japan, Taiwan. We're also gonna touch into why the so-called Chinese are going to invade Taiwan as well. And it's all it's all confirmation, through the spirit, man. You know what I'm saying? And anyways, just begin with it. We got the first article is prepare for war. All right, Taiwan braces for Chinese invasion as U.S. Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to visit. All right, so it says National Defense Ministry is said to have briefed its air defenses that it should prepare for war in the coming days. All right, so even with this diplomat, this U.S. diplomat going to Taiwan, you know what I'm saying? The Chinese are still about to go and what's it called? Invade, the country. All right. And it says Beijing has been left infuriated by suggestions that U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will visit Taiwan during her Asian tour, which has now begun. Which is it's all strategic. You know what I'm saying? The reason why they're pissed off is because it's all strategic, man. The reason why the so-called Chinese got pissed off is because the U.S. purposefully sent one of their diplomats over there. So now if they hit Taiwan, they hit the U.S. too. You know what I'm saying? And that's why how do I put it? That's why the so-called Chinese gave a stern warning. Brothers have brought it out. That brother, it's like that the so-called Chinese is threatening with a World War III type of situation. So hey, this is what's going around, man. It's the spirit that's on these nations. All right, so continue on. It says on Monday, China doubled down on its position, warning that its military won't sit idly by if Pelosi steps foot in Taiwan. So basically they're saying that it don't matter either way. If they got some U.S. diplomat over there, they still gonna take it over, man. All right, it says we once again sternly. All right, this is what they said. It says we once again sternly warn the U.S. side that China stands at the ready, and the Chinese People Liberation Army will never sit idly by. All right, so that's what he said. A spokesman for the Chinese foreign ministry, all right, he told reporters in Beijing on Monday about Pelosi's possible visit. It says China will take resolute and vigorous countermeasures to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. All right, and the reason why they say that is because they claim Taiwan, to be part of China. Which is funny because now all of a sudden, that Taiwan is at the top of being, a major producer in CHIP technology. Now all of a sudden they want Taiwan. But the reason why is because of the new enterprise, which we that's another term I've come to say through the spirit in replacement of NWO or New World Order, the new enterprise. All right, because I've found out that if you use the latter term, you know what I'm saying, they'll strike your video. So for now, we're just gonna say, their new enterprise, these devils are coming out with, which, of course, is going to affect, the whole world. All right, which is really, these elites, they want to, switch from a cash society to a cashless society, and that's their new enterprise, a whole new system, being put in place. All right, so it just goes to show, that's these devices that they're putting out, these agendas that they're putting out, to achieve their new enterprise are being enacted or being activated. All right, because you have, different kingdoms, basically running towards, a foothold. They it's a word for it. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, you got China, trying to establish a foothold in their next enterprise. All right, in the next enterprise, because you know what I'm saying. They trying to, invade Taiwan. Because with Taiwan being the number one, producer in the world with with CHIP technology, whoever controls Taiwan is going to have, a lot to say. Basically, it's going to have a lot of power concerning, the way things is done in the world. That's what, ultimately it all boils down to, and it's really because, the so-called Chinese, they want to be the next, leading nation to rule. All right. And to further prove this, you know what I'm saying, is now, coming out, is being made manifest, man. All right. Is that vain, imaginations written of in the book of Psalms chapter 2, which we're going to cover that in this lesson, is being made manifest. So here we have an article, that just came out literally today, August 2nd at 10 a.m. All right. It says an Apple chip maker. All right. TSMC warns Taiwan-China war would make everybody losers. All right. So that's what they're saying. Okay. So let's start with the article. All right. It begins. It says, if China were to invade Taiwan, the most advanced CHIP factory in the world would be rendered not operable. All right. The TSMC chair, Mark Liu, said in an English language interview with CNN this week. So that's really what they after, man. It almost reminds me, when the U.S., if I'm not mistaken, they were taking over. If I'm not mistaken, it was Iraq. It had to be Iraq. It was one of those countries, but I heard word of mouth. That when they were doing that, they were over there. You had the people over there. The Arabs or the Iraqi people. You know what I'm saying? They were there, to ultimately get the oil. So what the Iraqi people were doing is they were, setting on fire their oil reserves, and the U.S. were scrambling, to put out the fire in Iraq, that they were setting off. So that's really what it's all about, man. You know what I'm saying? Just the power, dynamics. It kind of reminds me of that. But continuing on, and it reads, all right. In the undated interview, Liu said that if Taiwan were invaded by China, the chip maker's plant would not able to be would not be able to operate because it relies on global supply chains. All right, so there it is right there. Okay, so it says nobody can control TSMC by force. If you take a military force or invasion, you will render TSMC factory not operable. All right, which really, I don't see, how they could do that, because all they got to do is just build, the CHIPs. That's all they got to do is just build, and it won't matter, man. So it reads, because this is such a sophisticated manufacturing facility, it depends on real-time connections with the outside world, with Europe and with China. With Europe and with Japan, with U.S., from materials to chemicals to spare parts to engineering, software, and diagnosis. All right, the TSMC's, the world's most advanced CHIP manufacturer, makes processors for American companies, including Apple and Qualcomm. All right, it manufactures Apple's A series and M series CHIPs, and has over 50% of the world's semiconductor foundry market. All right. But the reason why, the CHIP technology is so essential, to these nations, all right, is because the next, in the enterprise, the new enterprise that the elites are trying to usher in, all right, the transactions, from people to people is gonna depend on taking the CHIP, which that is the mark of the beast. All right, that is the charagma written of in Revelations chapter 3 and 16. It's like in Revelations chapter 13 and 16. All right, that's what that is, man. You know, so that's why, what I'm saying, these other nations are scrambling to obtain some type of foothold in the new enterprise to come. And it goes to show these nations got no originality, man. They got no originality, because why are they trying to, if for example, with Moab, you know what I'm saying, them trying to be the next, ruling kingdom, right? The next ruling nation, be on that power seat. Why are they trying to, take something that wasn't even their own creation? It wasn't even in their plans, ultimately. Because these things, they come from the different banking families. All right, this is a device, the CHIP technology. That's something that the banking families, had in the works. You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna be something that's not gonna, they're not gonna live out. And these so-called Moabites, man, they over here, trying to you know what I'm saying? Trying to rule. But they ultimately building on another man's foundation. And the reason why is because these heathens, they don't got no originality, man. All right, it's just a little side note that I wanted to say. All right, but continuing on, it says in the undated interview, Liu said that if Taiwan were invaded by China, the CHIP maker's plant would not be able to operate because it relies on global supply chain. So that's, them trying to, plead their way out. You know what I'm saying? Which, is pretty weak considering, China has a lot of resources and a lot of, expertise in the field. That they don't really care about that. You know what I'm saying? They'll just replace the staff and replace and have their own sources of software and technology. If not, they're going to completely X out, certain clients that Taiwan has. Like it says, it manufactures Apple's A series and M series, CHIP. They'll just replace those with their own, counterparts. So that situation between China and Taiwan, it is going to come to pass. All right, it reads, the remarks were aired as tensions between China and Taiwan have escalated in recent days as the House Speaker Pelosi visits the island. It says the war brings no winners, everybody's losers. Okay, which, like I said, again, that's not gonna, it's not gonna affect the so-called Chinese, man, because they'll just replace the staff and, they'll get people to operate the factory and supply their counterparts with the CHIP technology. Whatever CHIP, products that they need, that's what's gonna be supplied. Which we know what's gonna be, what I'm saying, produced in these factories, man. All right, ain't gonna be no, regular, CHIP, for your credit card. Yeah, they gonna have those, but they ultimately gonna be making them for the people, which is gonna be the MOTB. All right, so continue on. It says last week's the House of Representatives passed the CHIP and Science Act, all right, which sets aside billions of dollars in incentives to build CHIP factories on U.S. soil. All right, so this ultimately, and this is important too, and I'm just reading this right now, but this is also, important because even if China takes Taiwan, all right, that's not going to do anything to halt the prophecies and the enterprise that these devils are going to come in with. All right, because if they build, factories on U.S. soil or other countries for that matter, not necessarily Taiwan, guess what's going to happen? The people are still going to be taking the CHIP, all right, when it gets implemented. Okay, so it says President Biden is expected to sign the bill on Tuesday. All right, so they're going to be making, CHIP factories here, so people's going to be getting hit with that here nonetheless. All right, because ultimately, taking that CHIP, taking that charagma, all right, you're going to be destroyed via thermonuclear ICBM missiles, man. You're going to be caught out there in them plagues, okay? Which ultimately is to, take part in the second death, which is America being destroyed by the missiles. All right, so continuing on, and it reads, backers of legislation say it is critical for national security to secure the supply of efficient and modern CHIPs for U.S. usage if China were to invade or otherwise make it more difficult to manufacture them in Taiwan. All right, well, so you see how important, this is to, the new enterprise that these devils are ushering in. Okay, it's continuing on, and it reads, while much of the bill's incentives will go to American companies like Intel, TSMC is building a 12 billion CHIP factory in Arizona that could benefit the subsidies. So they could benefit from the subsidies. So they, bringing their factories over here, man. All right. So either way, it's still gonna be, people here are still gonna be taking that charagma. All right. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why, so-called Chinese, they want to do that is because they want a foothold. They want some type of power, in what they perceive as the new enterprise that these elites are moving the world into. Like I said, during camp, all these, heathen nations, they want that preeminence. You got the so-called Chinese, they wanna be the next, world power to call the shots. You got the so-called Persians, you got the so-called Iranians. All right, that's the Persians basically. They want to take over the world with the Islam BS, man. So these nations, they want that. You know what I'm saying? They want that. How do I put it to you? They want that preeminency. They want to be and that number one seat. That number one throne. Which ultimately, what I'm saying, that's not for them to have. All right, because ultimately it's Yahweh Shemi Hawashai who decides. It's the Heavenly Father who decides who gets to be, sitting on top. All right, and in this case, you know what I'm saying, we was at the bottom, and in this case, Esau was at top, as a punishment to us for going off. So that's really all it is, man. All right, that's why, the book of Psalms chapter 2, it says, why do the heathen imagine a vain thing? But anyways, continuing on with the article, it says Ukraine's comparison. Lu compared a potential conflict in Taiwan to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, saying that while the two conflicts are very different, the economic impact to other countries would be similar. All right, and this is true, okay, because if China was to invade Taiwan, it would completely change everything. All right, because a lot of our products and and things that's being manufactured here in Babylon come from China. All right, that little sticker you see right there, a little label, made in China. All right, that's like 80% of the products here in Babylon. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look up how many things is made in Babylon here. All right, so percentage of, let me see, percentage of things made in China in the U.S. Whoops, hold on. In the U.S. All right, so that's $560 billion worth of goods that came into the U.S. from China in 2018, making up more than 21% of the value of all goods the U.S. imported. So, I was, pretty off by that, you know what I'm saying? But, that's still a lot of products. You know what I'm saying? A lot of products come from China, a lot of essential items that you could buy at the store, a lot of low level things, they come from China. All right. So ultimately, you're going to see the repercussions on that. A lot of empty shelves is going to come to pass, because of the war with the so-called Chinese. So that's why, they're comparing it with Ukraine. All right. Because ultimately, what happened with Ukraine, All right, you have now the whole European, continent that's on a shortage and demand for fuel. You got whole cities that have to, turn off the power at night in order to conserve energy. You know what I'm saying? And that's the effects of the Russia Ukraine situation. They're the war that they fighting over there. So if China invades Taiwan, it's going to create a similar, situation, but it's going to be more impactful towards Babylon. All right. So continuing on, and it reads, and let me see. Liu said an invasion of the territory would cause economic turmoil for China, Taiwan, and Western countries. He said that TSMC sells chips to consumer-facing Chinese companies that need the company's services and supply of advanced computer chips. All right. Okay. So that, continues on with them trying to, you know what I'm saying? Continue, that's, them trying to buy themselves more time right there. When they say, how could we avoid the war? There really isn't no way to avoid the war, because ultimately it's Yahweh Shem Shai, putting the spirit on these nations to, fight against each other, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why they about to take over, China. All right. So with that, we're going to go to the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 34. All right, just to set the foundation of the lesson, with the scripture. So it reads, Matthew 10 and 34, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. All right. And that's ultimately, why these people, ultimately, that's why we're not getting bugged out over here, with these things, coming to pass. All right. Because it's Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. He's setting this thing. He's making this thing go down the way he wills it, to go down, the way he wants it to go down, and Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, our Heavenly Father, he is a man of war. So as you could guess, the way he's having, this transition happen is going to be through war. All right. And when I speak of this transition, I'm talking about the transition between, Esau being in the ruling seat and Jacob about to get into that ruling seat. All right. These so-called Chinese are not going to rule or have any power in the next, world to come. All right. Because as these devils are trying to set up, their enterprise, their NWO, guess what? All right. In the midst of all that, they will accomplish, they will accomplish their agendas and their goals to a certain extent, but they're not going to live out their enterprise. Like like when I say that, just to clear it up a little bit, I'm saying that, they will, usher in the CHIP. They will have people, getting it. You know what I'm saying? But hey, shortly after that, Yahweh Shai is gonna come and put these devils in chains, man. Yahweh Shai, the thousands of heavens, all right, and the elect that's gonna get beamed up. When Babylon is being destroyed, and shortly after that, or literally right after that, is gonna be Jeremiah 16 and 16. It's gonna be open season on these devils, man. All right, so that's where literally everything is coming towards, man. All right, and we at the end of this thing. Okay, so continue on. It says, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. All right, and that's what ultimately is coming to pass. Continuing on, we're gonna go with the book of Proverbs, chapter 21. To further solidify this, all right, it reads, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. I'm going to read it again. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Okay, and it's Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai that's putting that spirit of war on all these nations. Okay, because yes, there is a confederacy. You know what I'm saying? There is a confederacy. They were united to take us down. They still are united to take us down. You know what I'm saying? But, now that we at the bottom, you know what I mean? We here in Babylon in captivity, yet this day, you know what I'm saying? They want to have that ruling seat amongst themselves. And that's the spirit that Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is putting on these heathens, to scramble and fight, for that ruling seat, but that seat is going to be given unto the children, his people Israel. That's who that seat is going to be given to, man. All right, so continuing on, we're going to go with the book of Psalms, chapter 2. All right, because really that's, what they, imagine, for themselves. They all want that, a preeminency. They all want that, national superiority over their peers. That position that Esau had, for all these years. That's what they want. But they're not going to obtain it. All right, none of these heathens are going to obtain that position. All right, so book of Psalms chapter 2 verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? All right, now this is one of the points I was bringing out, during camp. So like, hold on. Yep, right there. All right, one of the points I was bringing out, during camp. All right, when you go into the Hebrew word for rage, all right, one of the definitions, you see the second definition is to conspire and plot. All right, so that's what that is, man. They all come together and they want to plot, ultimately to take us down. All right, but they at the end of the day, they all want to be, number one. Because ultimately, these heathens, they tired of taking orders from Esau, man. They tired of Esau telling them what to do, how to run their own country. Like the example with China and Taiwan. Like why should, why should these devils, be telling Taiwan whether or not to take over a country, man? But it's all because of the complications in the circumstances, that these devils don't want them to do it. Because Taiwan is the main manufacturer of CHIP technology. So taking over Taiwan, would go against the interests of these devils, which, ultimately it's in vain. All right. Because, you know what I'm saying? They about to make, CHIP factories over here. All right. So continuing on, and it reads, the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. And he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai shall have them in derision. All right. And then, which ultimately, you know what I'm saying? That's what, that's going to be the end of these heathens. At the end of all these things, all these wars, all right, they're going to be had in derision. Okay. Meaning they're going to be, brought down, to the grave, basically, to slavery, man. All right. Because here it is. They're going through all this, commotion, all this, you know what I'm saying, problems, all these wars, which ultimately Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is putting the spirit on them to do, ultimately so they could be put in slavery, man. But that's what happened, because what happened, they conspired against the apple of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's eye, which is his children, Israel. All right, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. We at the very bottom, we being oppressed. I'm saying, all manner of agendas, that's put in place to destroy us as a people. The culture that's given to us here in this wicked ass kingdom is not for our benefit or identity or anything like that. It's for our destruction, man. All right, because you're not going to learn that you're a Hebrew Israelite from black culture, from Latino culture, or Native American culture. And the higher ups of all these nations, they know who we are. All right, that's why, had to set the foundation, with this precept, Psalms chapter 2, because they ultimately conspire, to have us in destruction, to be taken down, and the book of Psalms 83, also expounds on that. All right, it also expounds on that, but what's going on right now, all right, is Obadiah, which we're gonna get it on the other app. All right, it's the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, and let me see verse 7. All right, where it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There's none understanding in him. All right, so this is referring towards, Esau, Edom. You know what I'm saying? All the men of thy confederacy, and that confederacy is speaking of, Psalms chapter 83, which we're going to get that. All right. I'm going to get, straight to, the key point. All right, where it says, so Psalms chapter 83 and 5, where it says for they have consulted together with one consent. All right, when that one consent, all right, that one condition is to take us down. It says they are confederate against thee. All right, and then jumping up to verse 4, that one consent is when it says they have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation." All right, who is them talking about? That's talking about the children of Israel. All right, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So that's the one consent that they came together for, to take us down. Okay, now that we, at the bottom, and Esau, coming in with this new enterprise, these other nations wanna have the next, a say so in the next enterprise. They want to be the ones on top. It says they are confederate against thee. All right, so that's the confederacy that's spoken of. And then verse 6 on down, all right, to verse 8, it talks about, what I'm saying, what it talks about, expounds on the nations that are involved in this. It says the tabernacles of Edom, right, which is so-called white people, and the Ishmaelites, that's the so-called Arabs, of Moab, all right, that's the so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes. All right, so you see the Chinese, being in this confederacy. All right, so we gonna go back to Obadiah chapter 1 and 7. Okay, and it says, all right, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to thy border. Okay, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Why? Because they've been building up their military capabilities and finding ways to ultimately undermine this devil. All right, it says, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. Okay, and this is exactly what's being made manifest. This is a perfect example of that. Hold on, let's go. What I'm saying, that this article, all right, this article right here, which is literally what's going on in the world, is a perfect example of that. All right, because they eat the bread of Esau Edom. They took his way of living. You know what I'm saying? The way he does business. All right, look at, like, the so-called Chinese is a perfect example of that, because they had their own cultures, they had their own traditions, and their own clothing style, their own architecture, and they completely did away with that and put skyscrapers and had their businessmen wear suits and tie, all modeled after Esau's way of doing business. And that's just one example. All right, even a deeper example would be into why they even trying to take over Taiwan in the first place, because of that CHIP technology. All right, and like I was saying earlier, with these nations having no originalities, because ultimately what Moab is doing is trying to build on another man's foundation. They trying to hijack the CHIP industry from Esau, and they could be like the main suppliers of that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I know, that's how we know, in this knowledge that that these devils are about to activate their agendas to usher in their new enterprise. All right, because you got whole countries scrambling to get a foothold on what is perceived to be the future. All right, and I'm gonna say perceived because that's not the future, man. The future is the children of Israel ruling under Yahweh or Yahweh Shai. That's the future. All right, these devils, these heathens are going to be taken down. That's the future. They're going to serve, and they're going to be in subjection unto us. That's the future for them. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up this verse. All right, and I'm gonna close it out with Revelations chapter 2. All right, to go into their future. Okay, so it reads, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. All right, so that's ultimately a big example of what's going on. The Chinese, they took so much from Esau Edom. They ate his bread, right? But at the end of the day, they trying to undermine him. That's why they about to take over Taiwan, so they could have a chance to undermine him in however way that they trying to undermine him in. But truth is, all these nations is going into captivity, man. All right, and with that, we're gonna go to the book of Obadiah. Obadiah, Revelations chapter 2. I have to go into what truly is going to happen. All right, so Revelation chapter 2, verse 25. But that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. All right, so that him is talking about the elect. Okay, that he that overcometh is talking about the elect, because the elect is going to overcome. All right, it's not going to be these you know what I'm saying, these plantation Christianity. It's not going to be, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, your average Jake. No, it's going to be a brother that's waking up to this knowledge. You know, that's waking up to this knowledge, that's enduring, you know, doing the work, man. Lord willing, we're of that number, man. You know, you might have an average Jake that wake up getting to the truth. He of the elect, he gets saved, you know, but that's what it is, man. You know, you're gonna have, you know what I'm saying, you know, this thing's only for the elect, basically, man. All right, that's who's gonna achieve salvation. That's who's gonna be the ruling class of the nation of Israel. All right, and the rest of the, you know, the rest of the nation, you know, that's gonna be born in through the elect are gonna be over the nations as well, man. All right, so the next so how do I put it to you? So the rest of the Israelites, you know, that that's gonna come in, you know, through the elect. All right, after, you know, basically marriages and you know, reproduction. All right, they're going to be over the nations too, man. You know, but the elect is gonna hold the ruling seat, you know, the ruling class of Israel. All right, that's ultimately gonna be the future. That's gonna be the new elites, man. All right, not no fucking Rothschild, not no damn, you know what I'm saying, a banking family, or no gook, man. No motherfucking Moabite. You know what I'm saying, that was one of the main supporters, you know what I'm saying, and played a key role in the invasion of Taiwan. No, man. It's gonna be the children of Israel. And it ain't gonna be no CHIPs being implemented in the kingdom, man. All right, and then in the next world to come, all right, the next system to come, ain't gonna be no CHIP technology, man. None of that, man. No more wickedness. All right, that's gonna be the new world wherein dwelleth righteousness. Okay, so like you're going off on a tangent. All right, but I'm gonna read it again. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my father. All right, so these heathens are going to be taken down. Okay, they're going to be as, you know, the vessels of a potter. You know, they're going to be as clay being broken into shivers, man. That's what we're going to do to these nations. All right, and that's what it's going to take. You know, how else are we supposed to subjugate these nations? You know what I'm saying? Where we just sit down and, you know what I'm saying, sing kumbaya and they just get them to like us so much that they're not going to do anything. No, man. You got the so-called Chinese that want to be number one in the world. They want to be the next America, the next Babylon, the next Golden City, right? And then you got the so-called Persians who want to take over the world with the Islam BS. You know, and then you got Russia. You know, how you going to subjugate these people through peaceful means? No, you got to break them down. You know what I'm saying? So continuing on, it says, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my father. And I will give him the morning star, and he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Okay, so, hey, it's going to be the elect that's going to usher in the next world, man. All right, the true world order that Yahweh Shai is coming in with. All right, the elect is going to be the ruling class, you know, and then the rest of the nation Israel is going to be above the rest of the heathen. You know, not the rest of the heathen, but the rest of the nation Israel is going to be above all the heathen. All right, that's going to be the order of things in the kingdom. Okay, so with that, you know what I'm saying, I was going to close out with this. All right, but the Spirit, you know, telling me, you know, to go on how exactly these elites are going to be taken down. All right, so the book of Revelation chapter 6 verse 14. All right, and it reads, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Okay, so this is going into that nuclear destruction. All right, and as this is happening, it says, and the kings of the earth And the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Okay, so that when they talks about these people in these upper echelons, as it just described, where are they gonna be at? The bunkers. All right, where is the talk? The conversation amongst them when all hell breaks loose. What are you gonna be doing? They're gonna be going into them bunkers. All right, and that's what this is describing when they hide themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. All right, that's talking about the bunkers, man. All right, verse 16, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Okay, because it's going to be right at that moment, all right, that Yahweh Shai is going to be beaming up the elect. When the missiles is hitting this place, the Yahweh Shai, through the UFOs, or so-called UFOs, which really in the scriptures is called the chariots, they're going to be beaming up the elect, man. All right, they're going to be beaming up the elect. And you best believe these elites are going to see that. That's why they're going to be running to their bunkers. They're going to be saying this, hide us from him that sitteth on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. That's what they're going to be thinking, like, dang, man, we just going to hide here. And hopefully they don't find us here in these bunkers. We in remote places, so, they should not be able to find us. But guess what? They're going to be found, man. All right. And what solidifies that is the book of Jeremiah chapter 16 and 16. Okay. Where it says, behold, I will send for many fishers, said the Yahweh Shai, Shai, and they shall fish them. All right, that's talking about the stage that we're in right now. Okay, well, we're fishing for the elect. All right, now you got brothers all over the world that's pushing the word, man. You know what I'm saying? That stage is being achieved. Okay, and then it reads, and after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. All right, so it says, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. All right, so them being hunted is talking about the wicked elites. All right, starting with Esau, Edom, so-called white man, and whatever other elite of these different nations that's going to be hiding out in the bunkers. When all hell breaks loose, them too, man. All right, and that's what's going to happen. Okay. They're going to try to hide in their bunkers and their mountains. You know what I'm saying? And the elect is going to, literally hunt them out. The elect with Yahweh Shai, the thousands of heavens, man. All right. Verse 17, for mine eyes are upon all their ways, and they are not hid from my face. Neither is their iniquity hid from mine eyes. All right. And at first, I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. You see? And that's what's going to happen. All right? It says they will feel, recompense their iniquity and their sin double, meaning that for the 500 years, going on 500 years that we, been here in captivity in Babylon, they're going to be serving their captivity 1,000 years, man. All right? 1,000 years. Okay? For all the iniquity that they have done towards us, the children of Israel, man. All right. And even in our homeland, because it says, because they have defiled my land. Yes, even in our homeland, in Israel, you have, alphabet community, them over there doing all manner of abominable things, man. So these devils are going to get taken down. All right. But this is how, they're going to end up they're going to be brought. This is how they're going to be brought down to the grave, man. All right. It's going to be by the hands of who? His people, Israel. All right. So, hey, with that, I'm going to say, call halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakha Kudash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. You know what I'm saying? Lord willing, it's an edifying lesson, watching the times. But, ultimately, this is the end game, the end result. All this, bickering from amongst these nations, trying to go to war with each other, trying to be the next number one, it's all in vain. It's a vain imagination, because Yahweh Shem Shai is going to take away, the ruling seat from Esau, Edom, and give it unto Jacob. All right, so with that, I'm going to say shalom, on to the next.